Welcome back. We have some very sad breaking entertainment news to share with you. TMZ is reporting that Malcolm-Jamal Warner, probably best known for his role on The Cosby Show, has died. People report that the 54-year-old was in Costa Rica on a family vacation and accidentally drowned while swimming.
Actor Malcolm-Jamal Warner.
Breaking entertainment news, Malcolm-Jamal Warner has died.
Malcolm-Jamal Warner, dead at the age of 54.
If irony were a lifeguard, Malcolm-Jamal Warner might still be alive. Hold up. Before you clutch your pearls, let's talk about the absolute cosmic slap this was to everyone who thought they had Malcolm-Jamal Warner figured out. 1 minute, he's sipping a coconut under the Costa Rican sun. The next, headlines are breaking like cheap sunglasses. Tragic drowning claims beloved actor.
Warner leaves behind his wife and his young daughter. He was just 54 years old.
Grief is a journey, you know. I understand that grief is love that has no place to go.
Hollywood stopped. Social media exploded. Cliff Huxtable's son? People gasped. Not Theo? They cried like it was a 90s rerun marathon gone horribly wrong. But let's get this straight. This wasn't just the death of an actor. It was the public funeral of our one-dimensional assumptions about fame, privacy, and what it means to actually know someone. Malcolm, the man who spent decades ducking red carpets like dodgeballs, met his end not in a flash of scandal, but in a wave, literally. The beach was postcard perfect, the mood light. It was meant to be a healing trip, according to locals and his now widowed wife. But then, just like that, the ocean turned into a villain in a Greek tragedy. Here's the kicker. Witnesses say he looked back right before stepping into the water with an expression that gave everyone goosebumps. Not fear, not panic, something heavier, something final. A look that said, "I know," when no one else did. Cue the dramatic string music, because this is where the story truly begins. His wife remained radio silent. No Instagram tributes, no weepy interviews.
Almost 10 years, and we have never had a fight, an argument, a raised voice, or a harsh word said to one
In
another.
10 years?
And it's not like we agree on everything.
Right.
She's Black and Puerto Rican. I've seen her with
Absolutely.
her family.
Yes.
Like, yeah, the smoke is there, the spice is there, but we're just, I think because we met later in life.
Tabloids were foaming at the mouth, trying to squeeze a tear out of her, but she played ghost. Until now. And when she finally broke that silence, she dropped truth bombs so raw they made TMZ sound like nursery rhymes. The world saw Malcolm the actor, but she had known Malcolm the man. And trust me, that Malcolm, complex, deep, spiritual, kind of mysterious, basically the love child of Denzel Washington and an unread poetry book. Look, when Malcolm-Jamal Warner passed, the public sobbed, the blogs gossiped, and Hollywood did what it always does, turned a human tragedy into content. But his wife, Sis, vanished. Poof. Not a tweet, not a press release, not even a dramatic Instagram story with sad violin music and a candle emoji. Just vibes, private, grieving, and done with the noise. Naturally, the internet lost its damn mind. Who is she? Why won't she say anything? Is this a cover-up? People started spinning more conspiracy theories than a Reddit thread about the moon landing. But behind all that static, a woman wrestling with something most people never experience, loving a man the world thinks they know, and losing him before they ever got the chance to truly see him. And when she finally did speak, oh baby, she didn't hold back. No media polish, no PR-approved cliches, just raw truth spat like poetry dipped in grief and gasoline. She didn't speak to trend. She spoke because silence had started choking her harder than the grief ever could. Turns out, the woman we all overlooked was the only person who really knew Malcolm beyond the camera flashes. Not Theo, not the sitcom star, not the jazz-loving actor on your mom's vision board, but the man who cried in the kitchen, who wrote poetry at 3 a.m., who asked her if she believed in past lives while folding laundry. Her words, not your standard eulogy fluff. This was an emotional drag. She described him as beautifully broken, hypersensitive, and terrified of being seen for real. You could almost hear him through her voice. Funny, moody, brilliant, fragile. And plot twist, this wasn't some tragic, we were so perfect tale. Nah, They had scars. She admitted to fights, insecurities, the awkward dance of loving a man who was constantly trying to shrink himself to fit the public's expectations. But in the quiet aftermath of his death, when the world moved on to its next headline, she stayed. She found a letter, a hidden letter, and in it, he asked her, begged her, to tell the world who he really was. Forget red carpets, forget meet-cutes on set. Malcolm-Jamal Warner met the love of his life in the most painfully poetic indie film way imaginable, in a quiet little bookstore in Los Angeles. You know the type: shelves that smell like vanilla and paper cuts, overpriced coffee in the corner, and a cat named Nietzsche asleep on the register. He was flipping through James Baldwin. She was reaching for Audre Lorde. Their fingers grazed. Sparks flew. Somewhere, a white girl with a septum ring started playing a ukulele in the distance. And that, my friend, was the beginning of a love story so low-key, even TMZ couldn't sniff it out. No paparazzi, no couple's Instagram account with matching bios. Just two people falling in love the old-school way, slowly, awkwardly, and deeply. Malcolm, despite being a walking 90s heartthrob, wasn't about that Hollywood PDA life. He didn't slide into DMs. He didn't post thirst traps with moody captions like "vibin'." He was a vibe unto himself, a man who, even at his most famous, would rather talk metaphysics than pose for selfies. And she wasn't chasing clout. She didn't care about red carpet invites or brand deals. She wanted poetry, not paparazzi. Vulnerability, not validation. When they met, she didn't see Theo from The Cosby Show. She saw the guy who carried grief in his back pocket and healing in his hands. Their relationship grew in whispers, not headlines. They built a world that was sacred, spiritual, and private AF. While Hollywood couples were busy name-dropping each other on talk shows, they were journaling together, reading Neruda in bed, and raising a daughter no one even knew existed. And here's the best part: they liked it that way. He didn't hide her out of shame. He hid her out of respect, out of protection. Because in a world where the public chews up your love life and spits it into gossip blogs, Malcolm chose to build a fortress. And in that fortress was a family, a quiet life, and a love so real it didn't need to be posted. No shade, but in a world where influencers post their babies' ultrasounds before the pee stick dries, Malcolm-Jamal Warner went full stealth mode with his family life. Dude didn't just keep it low-key. He put it in the vault, locked it in a safe, then threw the safe into the Mariana Trench. And for what? Love. Not the kind you hashtag, not the kind you monetize, the kind you protect. Let's be clear, this wasn't some weird control freak move. He wasn't out here hiding his family like a side quest. He was shielding them. From what? The fame monster? The internet witch trials? The keyboard warriors who will turn your toddler into trending content before they can walk? Malcolm knew what fame could do. He grew up in it. He watched it chew up his innocence and spit out anxiety. So when he finally had something pure, his wife, his daughter, he wrapped them in silence. Not because he was ashamed, but because he was terrified of losing them to the same machine that nearly consumed him. He raised his daughter off-grid. No red carpets, no magazine baby bumps, no paparazzi shots at Disneyland. Just love, pancakes, bedtime stories, and a daddy who never once turned her into a photo op. And here's the gut punch. It cost him. He missed out on celebrating them publicly. No proud dad posts, no interviews gushing about fatherhood. Because to do that would have cracked the door. And once you crack the door, the cameras shove their lenses in. And Malcolm, he wasn't built for that anymore. The pressure, the fake smiles, the need to always be on, it hollowed him out in the 90s. He wasn't about to let it steal his peace now, so... Cryptic much? But when you're a deep-feeling poet of a man raised on philosophy and jazz, that's kinda your default setting. Still, she brushed it off. Who doesn't get dramatic on vacation? But now, looking back, that expression, his eyes holding hers just a beat too long, meant something. And then he was gone. Not in a wave of panic, not screaming, just gone. Like the sea had been waiting for him. Like he walked into something he already understood. People say water is cleansing, spiritual. That drowning is one of the most peaceful ways to die. But let's not get it twisted. This wasn't some pretty metaphor. This was a man, a father, a husband, gone in seconds. And the only clue anyone had? A single look that still wakes his wife up at night. Not a scream, not a splash, just a gaze that said everything and nothing all at once. His wife says it still haunts her, how final it felt, how peaceful, how terrifying. Because maybe Malcolm-Jamal Warner didn't just die that day. Maybe he let go of the masks, the noise, the weight of being someone to everyone. And in doing so, he left behind more than a legacy. He left behind a truth too heavy for headlines, too sacred for sound bites. That the deepest parts of a person are rarely seen, unless you've loved them in silence.